Welcome to the Career Counseling Online's morning vibe session, guys. Hopefully, you're doing good and absolutely healthy at your home. Right, today we're gonna talk about those traits which the leaders needs to practice and guide others to practice actually within the organization for an overall growth of themselves and the organization. Now, you see, whenever we are talking about organization, we know that an organization has a hierarchical structure. Many a times it has seen that the hierarchy ladder is such that people are there as per their age, as per their education, as per their tenure with the company, and so on. In the ancient scriptures of Indian ancient scriptures, a lot of emphasis has been laid on respecting the elders and respecting the principal men. By elders, we always believe elder by age. See, it's as per the Indian or the Asian tradition. From our very young age only, we are being taught to respect our elders, um, to pay our respect to our elders whenever they visit our home or whenever we visit them. So it's like a tradition in the Indian culture. So respect for the elders, elderly in terms of age, is absolutely there. But many a times we find young men with a lot of wisdom much higher than people with age. Their wisdom defies the age. The guy might be pretty young, but the kind of analysis that this guy can do, the kind of in depth knowledge that the person has developed, and the kind of clarity that this young person has developed over a period of time surpasses many a time the tenure of age. It is quite often in the business organization wherein you will find a professional with a B school degree heading a department wherein he might be guiding people much higher, much elderly to his own age. In those cases, the question might arise like, I have been spending so much of time in this organization, I have been with this organization for 10 years or 15 years or more than that. How come this young guy comes up and starts heading me? You need to understand that when you respect that person, it's actually respecting that designation. When that person is selected and elected for that particular position, wherein you might be reporting to him, you need to understand obviously the organization has considered all the points which were necessary to lead such a team wherein experienced people or experienced professional like you are there. They have taken into consideration these points of conflict or confusion which might arise in the minds of their own employees. That when a 32-year-old guy with a B school degree or a high school degree in business management or business analysis is made the head of a marketing team wherein there are people of age of 45, 40, so on, obviously the organization has considered certain points, certain considerations. It's not a comparison between your tenure with his education, but you need to understand the wisdom, the in-depth knowledge surpasses the age. Had you been in a position to gain that wisdom, to gain that knowledge, to gain that education, you might have been in that position as well. That is the reason I keep on mentioning constant upgradation of the skills of the existing employee is an essential mandate that ensures that you are constantly in demand because of your latest skills that you have acquired, that ensures your growth, that ensures you being considered when there is an opening on the hierarchy of higher position. In such a scenario, respecting the elders or the principal men in the organization becomes very crucial. You need to understand, when you respect that person, you get a chance to learn, grow, and act like that person. That person might be younger to you. That person might have been for lesser days in the organization than you. But you need to understand, once he is there, you need to respect him and the decision of the organization of putting him as a head of the department. Respecting the principal men and respecting the elderlies is one biggest foundation on which the organization grows, organization stays, and organization continues. The way you respect that person, no matter even if he is young or she is younger to you, you demand, rather I would say you command a respect for yourself also. Very often you will find, when you start respecting this person, you are open to learning, you will find that they approach you mentioning, sir, you've been in this department or you've been in this organization for such a long time, you know the nitty-gritty, you know the person of communication, responsible people to communicate to. I am taking care of this analytical part. Could you just guide me as to how to communicate this more efficiently? Now what is happening is, he or she is respecting your tenure, your stay with the organization, and your experience. Let's say there is also wisdom in terms of the ancient terminology. When they are respecting your wisdom and when they are including you in their decision making, it is a huge scope for you to learn, to grow, to contribute, and be that person who is open towards learning, who is open towards sharing, and who is productive. That is a great scope for you, for them. The respect has to be mutual. A degree or education should not make that person disrespect others who are of higher age in this department. Just because a young person is heading the department, that doesn't give that person the right to disrespect the other members in the team who are elderly. The respect has to be mutual, the learning has to be mutual, and then only the growth is mutual for that particular employee, for you, and for the organization. When that kind of environment is there, it's pretty healthy. You get a lot of scope to grow. You get a lot of scope to experiment. You get a lot of scope to learn new things. Now, when this respect on the mutual side is there, the second point of consideration for leaders or for those who are heading the team is to be non-partial. Partiality actually corrupts the healthy environment of any organization. Partiality is the first seed which, when sowed, it is going to yield the result of discontent, discomfort, dissatisfaction, and lack of trust. When there is a lack of trust among employees, among team members, that organization can never grow, because it is always a mutual trust. For a leader who is non-partial, it is much easier to guide the employees, It is much easier to drive the growth of the organization. It is much easier to grow within the organization. Even if somebody is very close to the leader, if he or she is wrong, the leader needs to mention that to that person. And there might be situation when that leader does not know somebody, but knows that he or she is right in whatever point they are putting forward. They need to support them. When that kind of environment happens, a leadership should be non-biased. A non-biased leader is respected, is accepted among the employees, and is somebody who would be approached by the subordinates, by the team members, whenever they face any challenge. What it does is it actually builds up a relationship of trust. Thank you for liking that video. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. When this trust is there, a leader can command his team into any kind of deliverables, any kind of emergency, any kind of contingencies that might occur for the organization. And for that leader, it would be pretty easy to come out of the challenge along with his team, because his team would be supporting him. So a leader needs to be non-biased, has to be impartial. Partiality is a corruption. Partiality makes potential resources dissatisfied. Partiality kills the spirit of teamwork. It destroys the team within. Absolutely, it's destruction. With that kind of fragile faith and belief in each other, neither a team can grow, neither a manager can grow, neither an organization can grow, because it will crumble within. Before even it faces the competition, before even it faces the competitors, it will crumble within if the leaders are not impartial. Partiality is demotivating. Partiality towards the wrong subject is demotivating. Partiality towards the wrong deed is demotivating. You and I as an employee would not appreciate being set aside, shown a biasness by a partial leader. The complaints in our mind will pile up. One fine day they might erupt, or the dissatisfaction might reach such a level that either you or me or the employees starts considering a career outside the organization. Partiality also triggers attrition. I keep on repeating the same statement that you have been reading and hearing over years. Employees never leave an organization, they leave their bosses. And partiality is one big reason, biasness is one big reason across the globe why employees feel disengaged, demotivated, and dissatisfied. So when you are a leader, during any kind of conflict management, do what is correct, not who you know, who you don't know, whether you like that person or you don't dislike that person. Be impartial. That will command respect for you. That will command respect for your work. That will command respect for your expectation. And your employees would deliver much better with your trust, your impartial behavior, and you respecting them. Now when that comes as a partiality being very negative and demotivating, it is also very much recommended that a leader or a director or an organization who is in the leading competition should never practice any falsehood. What do we mean by that? The leader, the director, or the organization should respect the laws, should respect the protocols, should respect the parameters which are either set by the government, which are either set by the organization, which are either set by the directors or the stakeholders, or the process in place. Any kind of falsehood again corrupts your own employees only. If an organization is found bending rules, if an organization is found disrespecting the environment norms, if an organization is found disrespecting its community service, if an organization is found to be into malpractices, yes, it's true that you will have employees, but you will have corrupt employees as well. And with a bunch of corrupt employees, no organization can develop either a vision to reach their mission or any strategy to get it fulfilled. So, as a leader, you should never practice any falsehood. If something is not right, you need to mention that is not right, that is not acceptable. If something is incorrect, you need not accept it. You simply need to refuse it. If something is asked to be done in a way which does not make you feel satisfied in terms of laws being followed or parameters being followed or protocols being followed, you politely need to refuse doing those things. Any kind of falsehood, any kind of false promises, any kind of false practices, any kind of wrongdoes which an organization or a leader supports, they can never ask their subordinates not to. When an organization is bending rules, obviously the employees have a tendency to bend the rules. And it is never justified for an organization to expect its employees to be all true, to be all law abiding, to be all ethical, when they themselves are not ethical or into ethical practice or into legal practice or into any kind of process which does not deviate from the established rules and regulations. So never practice any falsehood as a leader, as an organization. Now these 3 points, when considered constantly and practiced, a leader is always successful. An organization is always successful. Why is it that people do practice falsehood? Many a times we hear that those kind of honesty, those kind of ethics does not work in today's world. The difficulty is lack of patience. We are not patient enough to go through the process, to go through the hardship, to go through the challenges which might arise when you are going in a ethical road, when you are going through a legal way, when you are going through the road which is correct. Things might get delayed, things might get postponed, things might get even stopped. But we do not have the patience to go through it, to carry on through it. I'll give you a small example. It so happened that a couple of years back, I had to have my project registered with the local municipal corporation. Now we need a trade license for that to operate from a particular location. Now the parameters or the rules which are mentioned by the municipal corporation to get a trade license is very easy. You need to pay a fees of 500 rupees. You need to provide the documents. You need to mention the purpose of your business. All the necessary documents need to be provided in terms of the rent agreement, in terms of the tax payment receipt, in terms of the MOA or the AOA of the organization, Memorandum of Association, an Article of Association, and the director's details and so on. Now, it was mentioned in that notice that the trade license, if the documents are in place, would be issued in 7 days. Now, we submitted all the documents We submitted every other papers which were needed, as mentioned. Yet when we arrived after 7 days, it was 8th day. After 8 days, we were very reluctantly told that your papers are not in place. We were literally shocked. We wanted to know which paper they were looking for. And suddenly they said, you need an environment control board clearance report. Now you need to understand, a pollution control certificate is needed by industrial users. If you are setting up a production unit wherein there would be smokes, there would be chemicals, there would be usage of coal or combustible things, you need to get a pollution control certificate. But we were never into that kind of production. It was just for our office that we needed those trade license to operate from, because ours is a complete e-commerce business model. We are into manufacturing, absolutely it's true, but all our manufacturing gets done in villages, and we are handmade. We are more driven towards handmade things, like we hand weave fabrics, we do hand block printing with natural dyes, we do hand stitching, and so on, none of which is polluting the environment, and that too in the villages. The trade license which was required for my location, we were not going to conduct any kind of manufacturing. But then we were asked to bring that pollution control clearance certificate, no objection certificate. We approached the environment control board, and then the officer asked us, like, what was our objective of the business, what were we doing in that location. And when we mentioned that we were only doing the official work, the documentation part, meeting people, whatever we do in the office, nothing of the manufacturing or the production part, the officer said that then I really don't know why they have sent you guys to us, because you do not require the certificate. And when I asked them, aren't they not clear about the procedure? Who needs a certificate, who does not need a certificate? The guy had a very sly smile and he said, Dada, get over with this. This is a round and round circle. One document or other they will be keeping on asking. Did you arrange for something for those officers? I was completely awestruck as to what I need to arrange for them. And then they mentioned that, along with that 500, you could have handed over another 500 and got your job done in 7 days. We don't appreciate that. We don't accept corruption in any form. And we said, sir, we will rather apply for a no objection certificate from you. And you officially will reply to me that a certificate is not required. We will submit that and we will get the things done. And he mentioned, then Dada, you will have to go round and round. It's going to be another week, another week, and another week. Exactly that what happened. When we got this pollution control certificate and submitted, we waited for 7 days and we again approached them for the trade license. Now we were asked to bring a certificate from the fire control department. We were not using any combustible chemicals. I don't even smoke. So there is no scope of a fire starting in my office out of any kind of office use, unless there is an electrical short circuit and so on. But we are not into something wherein we would be working with fire or heat. And when I again approached the fire control department, they literally gave me that same sly smile and said, Dada, why make your life hell? Get over with the officers. Give them $500. and your job would be done. I said, sir, I will not do that. Can you give me a no objection clearance certificate? They were reluctant. And then when they finally understood what we were doing, they asked us to come the next day. They gave me that certificate. You see, with that certificate when we applied, I will not prolong this conversation. The whole procedure was stopped, postponed at least 5 times, wherein 5 different documents were asked from us, which had nothing to do with our process or our mode of operation or whatever we were doing in the office. It was delayed. From 7 days, finally I got my trade license after 1 month. A lot of people might have said, and a lot of friends of mine who are business minded, they said, but you lost that productive hours. Instead of running here and there looking for this certificate, you could have easily concentrated on work, you could have easily earned something, you could have earned much more than what they were asking, that 500 extra. But my point is, why would I do that? Just because I can afford 500, tomorrow, this will be 5,000. Couple of years back, when my business grows, I might be landing up in a situation when I would be asked for 5 lakhs. So do I keep on satisfying this kind of corrupt demands? Or do I stand for my point? Yes, the life is going to be difficult. The process is going to be difficult. But we will not bend down before corruption. That is also one reason why our project commands, I would rather say, with strong emphasis, our project commands a strong ethical value in the minds of our patrons and customers. We have international customers also, art lovers who supports our artisans, who supports their work, whom I have never met, whom they have never seen. We never do a video call or something like that. They don't know me, they don't see me. All that they do is they communicate either through email or over a phone. And they do trust what I am doing. They trust the organization. They trust the artisans. And they do the online payments, believing the organization, believing the values that we follow. So that is one point that I want to mention. Never practice as a leader any kind of falsehood within your organization, because a falsehood or a false practice is the very first step to corruption. And with corrupt employees, with corrupt policies, with corrupt kind of procedures running within the organization, your organization eventually is a corrupt organization, and a corrupt organization cannot go further beyond a very short time profit. If you are looking for a long time benefit, long time growth, long time revenue generation, please be ethical. Stop practicing any kind of unethical practices. So with that note today, for the leaders to guide your team, as I mentioned in one another video, whenever you are handling team, you need to understand, as leaders, you are constantly being looked upon. What you practice, the way you behave, the principles that you follow, the ethics that commands you, the philosophies that rules you, the vision that you share, that is exactly going to be what your employees and your organization is going to be in the coming days. So with that note today, I sign off from this morning vibe session, wishing you all the best. Do take care and have a fantastic day. Learn, contribute and evolve.